All parts are welcome. If you happen to see my last video about being with whatever emotion comes up, this is a separate topic, but it's quite a good part too. So feel free to watch that one first if you haven't as yet, and then come back here. Or if you're like, no, I'm just going to watch this one. It's your life, go for it. And there's information in here that can be standalone information. So we all have different parts of our personality, different parts of our experience, different parts of us trying to achieve different things. And parts therapy is a very famous therapy that I am not an expert in. So there's elements like internal family systems, there's elements like Gestalt, there's all these different amazing therapies that look at different parts of ourselves. And I have to say I'm not an expert, but I've learned a lot about it from partly being the recipient of those skills from expert counsellors or coaches, but also in my own experience. And I was talking with a friend recently, and it really helped me understand this at the new level. Firstly, I was helped myself when I was really, really trying to resist a part of myself. So this is why this ties into the last video. What you resist persists. And this is true for emotions, but it's also true for our parts. And if we try to avoid a part of us, try and avoid what it's trying to say, diminish it or disrespect it in any way, it will just get louder and louder, either as voices in our head or as feelings in our body or as in experiences in life. So if we look at one of my parts that I was helped with, Kim Holland, a wonderful woman who runs Truly Be Counselling in Glen Forest and Subiaco, as well as being a grief counsellor and all-round amazing human. She has been my counsellor, my friend, my subcontractor. We have a complex and wonderful relationship. We had coffee not long ago, and it was before I really got that incredible breakthrough around I'm enough as I am without having to perform. And I hadn't got there yet, and I was still stuck in that, and she helped me with that because on this concept of parts, I said to her, frustratingly for myself, upset with myself, I'm still trying to get there. I'm still striving. I can't get that part to shut up. It just, it's so annoying. It won't stop. And she said very cleverly, connected to what resist persists and connected to this subject today, why don't you allow it to be there? Why don't you allow that striving part to be there? Don't even argue with it. Just realise it's trying to help you. Now, in working with Usha Rahman, who I've referred to here and had here on the podcast as a coach, she is an expert in parts therapy and has done wonderful work with me looking at different parts of us. So if you'd like to reach out to her, or I can have her here again if you like, talk about this element from an expert point of view. From my point of view, I want to tell you two different tales that hopefully will allow you to access this for yourself, and where you're unaccepting of a part of yourself that actually, if you could accept it, a little bit like the last part around emotions, it'll make a profound difference. So my version was striving. I never get there. I wish this part of me would shut up. Why does it keep bugging me? Blah, blah, blah. Now, of course, if you think of that part striving as a literal part of me, like imagine a little being, a little own being, it was getting yelled at all the time by me, told it wasn't good enough, told it was annoying, told it was ruining my life, told it was ruining my self-peace. But of course, what was it trying to do, it being this part? It was trying to support me. It was trying to make me feel better about myself. It was trying to make me feel like if you get here, you'll be okay. You'll finally be at peace. I had put it in action. I had been the one at whatever point that had realised I need to succeed. I need to be known. I need to be celebrated. And so I set it running, kind of like a little toy that you'd, wind up and it'd start like a little old toy soldier or something like that, and it was clicking away, just doing its job. It was told by me, I need to do this, so it went, right, I'm on it. I love you. I'm on it. I'm going to help you succeed. and striving became an enormous part of who I was for a long time, unseen by me. When I did see it, it was useful to see it, but I just started a battle with it. I didn't do what I talked about in the last episode. I didn't accept it. I did resist it. And of course, if you imagine that this is a literal part of me, so you imagine a little Tamara or a little person being yelled at, being told they're not needed, being rejected, that doesn't help them go away. It doesn't help the thing become peaceful. It makes them want to tell you why they are good and useful. It has them be hurt, which makes them louder. I'm not sure if this is easy to understand if you haven't done any work with parts, but I'm hoping it does sort of spark a little thought for you. Probably the easiest way, if it's not work you've done before, is to think, is there any part of me that I just cannot be with? So for me, what I shared about last year in the podcast was being a jealous person. I couldn't be with it. What a revolting way to be. What kind of pond scum was I that I was jealous and not happy for people? Particularly when my whole thing is I'm meant to be caring and happy for people. I couldn't be with it, so I got very confused rather than just realising what role it was trying to play and realising it was doing a job for me. So when Kim said to me, why don't you just let striving be there? And then I worked with Usha and looked at what striving was trying to achieve. It was actually really on my side. And the poor striving, imagining it as a character, was just getting abused by me while it was trying to work. It's like having a child that cries or is upset and then yelling at them, or telling a child to be a particular way, and when they do it, you tell them off that it's wrong. It wasn't exactly a child, but it certainly came up from my childhood. So it was a very young part of me that became the striver. So actually it is true to say that I was yelling, really yelling at a childish part of me and not understanding it and not pacifying it and not saying, look, I've got this, buddy, you're all right. You don't have to work so hard. I love you. This is the fundamental shift that I'm talking about when it comes to parts. You may not like that part, you may not want to admit you have that part, but as soon as you deny it, as soon as you fight it, as soon as you hate it, it will embed more strongly because its job is to help you and it will not go away unless you're able to tell it, it's okay, I've got this. I'm in the driver's seat. I love you, I appreciate you, thank you for what you've done for me. If you look at striving for me, my great enemy that has caused me so much pain, fuck you, striving, that part, yes, I get now it is causing more pain than pleasure and I don't need it anymore, and I'm so lucky that I'm able to see it and have this freedom. Honestly, I don't think I've made enough of a fuss about it, the freedom, since I realised I don't have to do anything to succeed. I might talk about that in a different episode and help you celebrate yourself in that as well. But before I got that I didn't need striving anymore, or I certainly didn't need it as strong as it was, I used it to create a really amazing, interesting life. I don't know if without striving I would have did what I did at school or did what I did at university or travelled how I have or had the adventures that I've had or done the work that I've done or be sitting here now, right? Like I would not be sitting here now if striving hadn't said, when someone suggested have a podcast, that could be good. Interestingly, the first thought when I'm often inspired by stuff is not the desperate part, is not the striving part. So when Ash McGrath said, if you don't have a podcast, you should, it wasn't striving that came up. It was joy. It was, should I? And then for the first part of this podcast in July 2024, if you listen to Danielle and I talk about it, if you listen to what I'm saying, I'm not striving. I am in pure happiness, flow and joy. And then striving came back in and went, excuse me, what is happening and why are we doing this and is anyone liking it? And I don't even know if you've got a plan here. And then, of course, the stress increased and, like the podcast name, the 50-50 split, and I became a combination of enjoying what I was doing, questioning whether it was useful and worrying whether I was an immense failure, not having enough followers. Yeah, it's very interesting and very helpful to make friends with the parts of ourselves we don't like. Tied into the last episode, being with emotions that we don't like is similar to being with parts, but the part will have more complexity. It'll be more of a driving force. When I was speaking to my friend about their part, they were trying to be less impatient. And this is a common one for people that are go-getters. And of course, I know and like a lot of go-getters. They're living wonderful, expansive lives and they're hard on themselves and they're always thinking what's next. And impatience is a common theme. I remember Carly Lyon from the Brand in You talking about how she was trying to rebrand impatience as go-getter. It actually doesn't even need rebranding. It is go-getter. So when I was talking to my friend and they were saying, I've got to get rid of this impatience, I could hear that they were hating that part of themselves, wanting it to go away. And of course, like a child that doesn't get a hug when they're upset, they're crying louder, they're starting to tantrum, they're doing anything to say, no, you need me, I have done so much for you, why are you talking to me this way? And when I shared with them, you could actually look at this impatience as a hero rather than a villain. You could even give it a name. I made up crazy names like Attacker, the creator of life, or Avenger, the maker of passion. Because that impatience, that's how they see it, how they see themselves. They are a life creator. They are a driver. They're creating all the success. Why is my friend yelling at them? It's so mean and unfair. Without them, what would they have been? If you are someone that is experienced in working with parts, none of this will be new. It may be a prompt to have a look at anything that you're not currently comfy with and just let it be there and love it up. Peter Crone, who I've referred to here, the mind architect, who loves an open shirt. I mean, let him, he's him, that's fine. Don't resist him either. He's very handsome. He says you will bump into experiences, I'm paraphrasing, you will bump into experiences over and over until you get the lesson. With parts, for me, it's the same thing. You'll have opportunity after opportunity to bump up against resisting that part of you until you meet it at the door and go, welcome. For me, welcome jealousy, welcome anxiety, welcome fear, welcome striving. For my friend, welcome impatience. It's ironic. Like Alanis Morissette, but I think everyone decided her use of the term ironic wasn't correct. I'm not enough of an English expert to know if that's true. But there is a real irony to both this and what I shared previous. Be with what is, whether you think it's good or bad to start with, that is going to be the access to your freedom. If you can be with what is and love all parts of you, hug your little piggy that's squealing, water your lettuce, be at peace with all of you, love all of you. J. Mike Fields is on Facebook. He's an American coach. He is very, very useful in this subject. He talks about coming back to ourselves, loving ourselves. So in the links, I'm going to put Peter Crone, I'm going to put J. Mike Fields, I'm going to put Lockie Samuel Mariu, I'm going to put Usha Raman, I'm going to put a link to Basic Understanding of Parts, and I will put anything I can find else that adds to this topic for you to either start to investigate it, or if it's not new to you, what's the next level of this? Because I always like to be in the game myself, I think I will join you on this mission. And how I'm going to join you is often when I'm arriving somewhere, even here where I'm happy and comfortable, or at a party or at a shop, doesn't really matter where, I will feel a level of anxiety. And I will then tell myself off for feeling that anxiety, and I will tell myself to get it together and be good and be smiling and be, what it is be good enough that you will not get rejected by the person you're about to run into. do not show that there's any not okayness, because they won't be okay with that. So what I'm going to do as my homework, as I ask you to have a look at this topic if it's inspirational, is I'm going to try, and it's new so I have to practice, I'm going to try to let myself be however I am. That feels very nerve-wracking even as I say it. I'm going to try and let myself be however I am when I first arrive, not put a layer of shiny over the top. I don't mean be rude or be grumpy or put my shit on someone else, as an elegant way of saying it. But I do mean not kind of having to brace for performance, but rather go, you're all right, Tamara. I love you. I'm on your side. You don't have to be perfect to be loved. And if you do have to be perfect to be loved, that person might not be the perfect person to love you, right? Okay, hope it's useful. Lots of love. See you next time.